Hey spirited friends, thanks for joining me today. I'm really excited to introduce to you somebody who has been such an important pivotal piece of my spiritual journey. And she is the reason I can say that I have been able to stay very grounded with having this psychic ability and mediumship gift, because as you know, doing this work, it can put you kind of out there and some people get a little woo-woo with it. But I've found a way to incorporate it into my life so that I do stay grounded and balanced. And I, again, give so much credit to this special woman here, Ariel Hardy, who happens to be my personal energy healer. And I want to introduce her to all of you and let her tell you a little bit more about who she is and the work she does, because I feel like it is such an important piece to all of us that are starting to open up to our own intuitive abilities and how to work with them responsibly and to stay grounded and to also advance them. So I'm very excited to introduce you to Ariel. Thanks for being here with me.
Thank you.
So tell me, tell my viewers who you are and what you do.
So I've been an energy healer for about 19 years, and about as long as you've been a medium, psychic medium. And we met each other how many years ago?
It was 5 days after my father passed away. I prayed for an energy healer, and it was back in 2006. And so it was 9 years ago. And 5 days later, this woman shows up in my office for a reading. And she said, I don't know why I'm here, but we have a mutual friend in common. And he suggested I come. And I when she told me what she did, my jaw dropped. And I said, I know exactly why you're here. And selfishly, thank you.
Right.
And so from then, we've worked together every week.
Yes, we have. And so I am impressed that you come back every week, because doing the work that you do, that's what you need to do. Not everyone needs to come every week for an energy healing, but your work is such high demand spiritual work. You have to be on, you have to be clear, you're guiding people, you have to be grounded in a really ungrounded career. So it's, I love your dedication to the energy work.
Thank you. You know, I made a vow with God and my guides that if I was going to do this work, that I needed somebody to help me and to work on me to stay clear so that I remain a pure vessel and not project my human stuff onto the work I do and through the readings. And you've helped me so much with that.
Yeah. So basically what I do to help Rebecca with energy healing is there's a table, like a massage table, and Rebecca comes in and lies on it, fully clothed. You just take your shoes off when you get energy healing. And you open yourself up to source and the angels and guides. And as an energy healer, that's what I do. So always when you're picking an energy healer, as we've all experienced through trial and error, make sure they are open to source and out of the way, their ego's out of the way. So basically I begin praying and bring the light, the God's light, source, universe, whatever you want to call it, through my crown. It comes out through my hands. I ground it through my feet, and the spirit guides and angels move me. So they move my body. I didn't go to school. I didn't train to learn this. I didn't read books to figure out how to do this. I simply practiced letting spirit move me, so letting the light move me. And it has worked for me, because each person's healing is totally different than the next person's. You know, when you come in for a healing, it's a lot of opening up your crown chakra, the vortex above your head, to download channeling, to download God's light, God's truth through your voice, opening up your throat chakra. A chakra is just a vortex or a whirlpool, opening it up so that you can speak. Remember the time you had a guide, a spirit guide trying to speak through you, and I was helping integrate that so that you could do that easily. So she's constantly advancing. So Rebecca's sessions are a little bit different than most people's. She's always on the cutting edge, and I'm always having to keep up with her to make sure that I'm ready for what her guides want me to do with her that day. So when a ton of light comes in the crown and comes through the body, and she has to somehow manage that light without getting spaced out or off balance, or like you said earlier, kind of out there, what I do is then ground all that energy. So I bring all the light down through the pelvis, through the legs, through the knees, ankles, feet, out the bottoms of the feet, like a root system, to like a tree's root system, but it's made of light, into the ground. And by the end, the energy's fountaining. So it comes in, down through, back around the energy field, which creates a big bubble around the body, back through again and around until by the end you expand. Yeah. And the energy's huge and you're filled with God's presence. And then you go into the world and do your work.
Yeah, it's really amazing. And every session we've done has been different week to week.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's truly just physical. You know, I'll walk in and I don't tell her anything and I'm having left hip pain. And her hands go straight to my left hip. What's going on here? And so she physically just makes, almost like a chiropractor, an adjustment to my hip.
Yeah.
And we also do this remotely, long distance, over the phone when I travel. And I have a lot of clients who have seen her over the phone. It works the same. It's amazing. Yeah. She would just say, hey, I'm at your left hip right now. And I'm lying there saying, how does she know my hand is on my left hip right now? Yeah. Very powerful. And then other times, Ariel, you know, it's just all spiritual. And it's out in these layers. You and I don't even understand what's going on. Yeah. But the validation for me always comes with how I feel when I walk out. And I always feel lighter. And sometimes it stirs up a lot to the surface where I'm purging. So I might be very emotional for a day or two after. But in the end, I always feel better. And I feel more at peace and more connected to Source and to my own inner guidance. And so it's just pretty amazing and powerful how they use you.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, when I step into someone's session, I just get completely out of the way, and your spirit guides and your angels use me. Mine are using me to help me to work with yours. Basically, yours are the ones who know your hip is out or something. I don't know your hip's out. So that's why my hand is just moved, taken to the hip, for example. So here's what it looks like. So if I were to clear Rebecca's hip, my hands are being moved. Then the bubble of energy that's creating the pain in the hip is moved out. Then I breathe it out like that, and then my hands are released, and then I move on to the next thing. And so I don't know why I'm doing it, and that's why I ask a lot of questions like, what's happening here? Because you guys always know what's going on with you.
Right.
Yeah, it's not really a psychic reading.
Well, it's not, but there are many sessions where she doesn't intend to do this, but she is picking up stuff I've found. It's 3 weeks in advance. I've gotten it down to science. She picks up on psychic stuff. What's going on with so-and-so? Nothing. 3 weeks later, that happens. I see you going to California. Nope, no plans. 3 weeks later, I'm going to California. So she is just reading the energy. And, you know, as our guides have said, everything is, we're multidimensional beings and nothing is linear, okay? And so Ariel is able to tap into levels and layers that are sometimes the past, sometimes the future, sometimes the present.
And I never know which they are, usually.
Likewise, when I do readings, there's a lot of times I have no idea the information I'm giving a client, if it's already happened, if it's about to happen, but they know, right? And so that's where you just surrender and you trust whatever she's picking up, the guides are bringing to you for a reason.
Yes.
And you just let it be. And eventually you connect the dots.
Yes.
So
a lot of times the reason there are psychic predictions and things in your session is because you are psychic.
That makes sense.
So because I'm being used by your guides, suddenly I'm psychic like Rebecca.
Right.
But it doesn't happen necessarily in everybody's sessions. So some people, their sessions might just be all physical. They may just have a really bad back. All of a sudden, these kind of spirit guides who are surgeons come in and start using me. Right. And my hand will go sometimes touch the back, sometimes not touch the back, but I'm moving out the pain and actually making adjustments with light coming out of my fingers into the person's vertebrae, spine, the discs between the vertebrae, and not even putting any pressure on the body, and they may have everything adjust. Other times it stays stuck. Wow. We just give it to God. Other times I can't move it. And I just let it go, just do do whatever the guides have me do.
Right. It's really powerful. I've had sessions where I've gone in like with aches and pains, like really tight shoulders, and literally within seconds, it's gone.
Yeah.
And it was going, do you remember I had a neck issue once, and I had all this pain, and you went in and said, well, the pain is caused by, did you just do a reading for somebody who hung themselves?
Oh, wow.
It was a spirit who was stuck on my neck. And I said, I did yesterday. And I was having so much pain. And she removed the spirit, sent him back to the light. The pain was gone.
Wow.
It was so validating.
Yeah.
You know, I want to share a story that happened not too long ago. I had a couple fly in for a small group reading from, I think it was Texas. And we did the reading, and her father came through and brought up a lot of her childhood wounds where he was very abusive to her, and it brought up a lot of stuff that she has suppressed for many years. And while I was able to give her certain information, she walked out of my office feeling unresolved. It was almost like she felt she was left hanging. But I was unable to give her more. The guides cut me off, and I told her, this is all you are ready to hear from me right now. I'm only a piece of the puzzle. And we left it at that. Well, fast forward, I think it was a few hours later. I had no idea at the time. I found this out from you like a week later. But she had taken one of Ariel's cards that I had in my office. And she called her that day, hoping she was only in town for like 48 hours. Maybe I can get an appointment. Well, sure enough, you had a cancellation. Was it that day?
I can't remember.
Or the next day? And Ariel saw her and worked on her. And she was then able to pick up where I left off with the guides and guidance and integrate the experience to take away the uneasiness and unresolved feelings.
Yes.
Do you want to share?
Yes, I can barely remember the healing because just like you, when you're doing this work, source is moving through you. You just can't remember it when you walk out the door, which is awesome for confidentiality because you can't remember anyway. But I think that I remember the reason that she didn't get what she was looking for out of the medium work is something needed healed or cleared with the spirit who had passed. And that spirit was in danger or trouble or something. It hadn't quite crossed over to the higher levels. And so you channel clear spirits, and sometimes if they're just totally stuck or in a really dark place or like a ghost, you may not be able to tap into that because that's just not your realm. It's too low.
It's not what I
think that might be what happened.
That is what happened.
And I had
you
to
were
like
able
pull,
to.
I had to pull that spirit up out of the gray and the stuck level and remove them and clear them and send them to God and help them across with archangels and help them move through. And then she had her healing, So that worked really well. I love when we're a team like that. And
that was the very first time you and I realized that it really is a tag team process because we all have different gifts and abilities to tap into different levels, and that's not my expertise. And so it was really powerful to hear this woman's full circle kind of read on the work we did and how it brought this sense of wholeness and peace and closure.
Right.
But I always say, the work I do, the work you do, it's only a piece of the puzzle.
Yes.
Right? It's not an end all be all. And so I guess the reason I thought that was really important to introduce you to my clients and friends is because she's another resource. The work I do helps a lot of people, but not everybody.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need to lie there and receive, whether it's a physical healing, as she was talking about, or energetic, spiritual. Sometimes we don't even know. But to really just kind of go within and ask what it is that you need, and then for me to be able to help you navigate, who that next right practitioner or resource is. And so Ariel's a big piece of the work I do for that reason.
Yeah, a lot of times I'll have people come in and say, I saw Rebecca Rosen and she told me my crown chakra was blocked, or she told me that I have a block in my heart chakra, and it's true. They come in for a healing and my hands are taken, for example, to the heart chakra, which is just a vortex in the chest, and there might be black or gray blocking their heart so that they can't feel love or receive love or attract new love. And so I'll move that out and then they leave. So it's like a tag team. Mm-hmm.
And where does that black or gray come from? Is it from past hurts and shutting down?
Yeah, that's a great question for viewers. So sometimes we can pick up on it from our parents. We're little and they have this terrible pain in their heart and you grow up with it and you don't know where it ever came from. Sometimes it's a past life. You can come in and always have this terrible pain and emotion in your chest. You have no idea. Nothing's ever happened to you. Other times it's the obvious stuff where you had this bright, open, happy heart as a child, and then someone came along, usually as an adult, and they just hurt you very badly. And it can rip open the grids across the heart chakra. So every vortex or chakra has a screen across it, lines of light. And when we say our heart is broken, what it really is that screen is torn.
Wow.
And so there's a big hole in it. And then the chakra can no longer spin. And when the vortex spins, it stays bright. It just flushes itself out, brings new light in. But when it stops functioning, it begins just clogging up, and it just sits there stagnant. And the vibration goes from beautiful colors like the rainbow to lower, lower, lower to what's gray or black. And then it gets denser. And so people feel like their heart is heavy or blocked. I have so many people walk in the door and say, I'm stuck.
I bet.
I'm blocked. I can't look. I can't feel. And that's why. And so as an energy healer, of course, the first thing I do is pull that gray out, pull the black out. Then I begin pouring light into it, almost like a wound in your chest, an actual physical wound, where you would take out the bullet, or you would take out the splinter, and then you would then flush it with light or flush it with something to sterilize it and clean it. And then once I finish doing that, I sew. I sew those grids back across it. And then I make sure the vortex is spinning.
Wow.
So that it can maintain itself. And when it's spinning, people leave so happy and so light. And that's why everybody comes back for energy healing.
Right. And oftentimes I've sent people and they go once and they say that they didn't feel anything. They don't know. And I say, you know what? It's not a one-time deal for everybody. Some people it is, most people it's not. You need to go several times sometimes, because especially the deeper the issue, if you have childhood wounds in your heart, I personally don't believe you can fix that in an hour. That might be a process where you start the process, they do their own work in between, and then come back to you as they feel guided, and you go deeper.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so, anyways, if you feel drawn to this, I would just encourage you to, not put a timestamp on it, like how often, or because don't compare yourself to me. I go every week, and a lot of people think that's what you need to do. Some people who are sponges like me and do healing work on a daily basis need to go often, because it's, again, the only way that I have found to stay clean and grounded and in a good mental, emotional place. But most people, I feel like, can just intuitively feel their way through it. And maybe every few weeks, few months, once or twice a year. It depends on, I think, how you're wired.
Exactly. I have everybody just stay in their power, feel into themselves, and decide for themselves, did it last? Do I still feel good from the healing, or did it wear off? Or am I back in a funk again? Am I stuck again? And that's when they need to call me and get back in and get it cleared again. Or call their energy healer if they already have one that they love.
Yeah. Well, this has been so fun. I want to have you back again, and maybe we can go into like certain topics, like dive into specific issues, because
that'd be great.
I think we all go through the similar, struggles in life, and I know I personally have experienced everything there is probably at this point with you, all over the board, from human stuff to advancing my psychic abilities and spiritual stuff.
I love that about you, that you're willing to just go into that being a human girl level, and just live your life and experience that too. And then other sessions you come in and it's all about, we're going to advance you so you can download channeling.
Right, and it's stuff you and I, it's over our heads. We don't even know what she's doing until I go and read the next day, and my readings are like
super clear
and more powerful and on a whole new level. It's really amazing. But anyways, I am so grateful for you in my life. I'm so grateful to share you with other people. And I think the work you do is so necessary and important, especially with all the changing times, with the shift that's happening on the planet. And so I just wanted to share you as a resource for those who feel drawn. And thank you for taking the time to be here. This has been great.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.